You wanted the best. You've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
Hi, folks. Chris Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. Are you ready for the roller coaster of the whatever this is, the podcast, the Chris Voss Show Podcast.com. Anyways, make sure your hands, arms, and legs are securely in your seat. Otherwise, you might hurt yourself. We don't want to have you hurt yourself. Otherwise, those FAA flight attendants will come down the thing and they'll slap you silly and then have you dragged off the plane. But it isn't that kind of a show. So anyways, well, as always, we certainly appreciate you guys being on the show. We have an amazing debut author on the show. He's going to be telling us about his new book coming out December 6th, 2022. And the beautiful part about this is if you started seeing the Black Friday sales for that great Christmas gift you can get to people, this makes a great Christmas gift. So you want to take and purchase this thing, get it pre-ordered when you can. Of course, you always want to pre-order books when they come out, because you know what the nice thing is? You get that baby in the mail, and then you get bragging rights in your book club to say, hey, I'm the first one to read it. I got it before you guys. You know, you always want to be the one who reads the hot book first, because you can say, like, I was the first one, and it helped get hot for me. So you want to check this book out. We'll be talking to him here in a few seconds. But in the meantime, you know the drill. Further show to your family, friends, and relatives. Go give us those lovely reviews on iTunes. Somebody just put up 2 the other day. 2 people just put up 1 each the other day, and they were beautiful, and they made me cry. And if you want to make Chris Voss tear up, just feel loved, please go put a 5-star review on iTunes. We certainly appreciate it. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, youtube.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn, see the big LinkedIn group, 130,000 people, all the LinkedIn places we have, all the internet. It's crazy where we are. We're just everywhere except for Snapchat. No, we won't DM you the Chris Voss Show pictures. That's not going to happen, folks. That's not this kind of show. I think that's on an OF channel, but we don't have a channel there. So nah. There you go. Anyway, guys, he's the amazing author of the new book that's coming out December 6th, 2022. It's a novel called Manifest Destiny, and it's by Zach Daniel. Zachary Daniel's on the show. Zach, are we going with Zach Daniel or Zachary?
You know, Zach is less syllables, so we can go with that. It's easier to say.
We just want to give people those search terms to look for.
Yeah, Zachary.
Amazon.
Yeah, if you want to search it, Google, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, Zachary Daniel.
There you go. So the book's under Zach Daniel. Zachary Daniel is a Midwest native. He graduated with a degree in nuclear medicine. Wow. Before pursuing his passion in finance. Wow. We'll have to find out what happened there. Starting his own firm, Digital Edge Wealth Management, he is now a registered investment advisor, leading a new way given his expertise in Bitcoin. He recently came out with his debut fiction novel, Manifest Destiny. He's a man of simple taste, beer, book, and Bitcoin. That sounds like a slogan there.
Yeah.
Beer, book, and Bitcoin. Many of the
kind of a
favorite
mouthful.
There you go. So welcome to the show, Zachary. You've been here all along, but welcome to the show. We certainly appreciate coming by.
Yeah, well, thank you, Chris. Thank you for having me very much. And, you know, I wouldn't mind seeing you cry, so I might have to leave a really glowing review.
Please do. just for
I'm
going to start reading them on the show. I've been meaning to read them on the show, and I always forget. And I start the show, and I'm like, damn, I was going to read one on the show. And there might be some crying there, but then I don't have the tissue box. So, whatever. But, yeah, I mean, it makes me feel special. I get a little tingly inside and my eyes water a little bit. And I'm like, if people love me, damn it, they love me. They really do. Which is different than my mom, who just uses my name as the 4-letter word. Anyway, moving on. So congratulations on the new book. Give us any .coms. You want people to track you down on the interwebs and stalk you.
Yeah, you can check out my, the book from ZacharyDaniel.com, Zachary-Daniel.com. Otherwise, it's available on all major retailers. And if you're looking for that Black Friday sale on Blackstone.com, it's 30% off. So
there you go.
That's the one deal. Yeah, it's debut novel, but it's off on sale on Blackstone. So go check
There
it
you
out.
go. So order up the book. I mean, get one of those. It's right now is this is the time of year where I'm always looking for gifts to give people. And I have a lot of friends that I like to give gifts to, but you're not spending like a lot of money on them, like a wife or girlfriend. So you want kind of like that gimmick sort of thing where you're like, here's something that means something that's really good, but you're not worth spending $50 on.
Yeah, that's a very polite way to put it.
I have friends right now listening to the show going, is that me? Is he
Yeah,
referring to
yeah,
me?
exactly. Yeah,
Did
little
he just refer
self-insert.
to me? No, or you combine them. You give them like a couple copies of the book to give away to their family and their friends and relatives, and then maybe some roses and I don't know, some a thing of champagne. So you
Even
just
better.
stack it. I
Even
think
better.
that's
Yeah.
called stacking the presents. Is that? I don't know if that's really a term. I'm just making shit up at this point. So let's talk about a few different things. What motivated you on to write this book? What was the catalyst?
It's a good question. On the bio, I said I came over a glass of rum, and that is kind of true. I did come home uh, in college actually, and I thought about this idea for a movie.
Mm,
Kind of honestly, the main character would have been like an Edward Norton looking type,
hmm.
and I had this idea for a movie, and I'm like, oh, I'm broke. I can't do it. I can't make a movie. I have no expertise there, but I can write a book, and
There you go.
that's what I did.
All right.
I had this idea for a story, a great mystery thriller, character-driven novel, and made it happen after that. That was kind of the catalyst, and then I spent probably, oh, oof, 6 years on this, 6, 7 years.
6 years writing it. Wow.
Yes, I
There you
spent a
go.
lot of time and a lot of thought, and so, yeah, end product, and, no, I'm very excited to get it out, and, you're right, getting that feedback from people, it is very warming. It's
Yeah, it
tingly. It's
is. I
tingly.
mean, did you run it through the editor yet? Sometimes the editors are mean to you though.
Yeah, yeah, I ran it through a couple editors, uh, and and the first editor beat me up pretty good, and,
Yeah, they're good at that. They
I'll tell
tear out
you
your
that
soul and they stomp
they
on it a few
they do.
times.
No one was a harder editor than when I did my first draft and I sent it to my dad. He got through 4 chapters and he said, "Nope." This needs more work. This isn't for me.
There
Um,
you go.
but that was obviously probably year 1, so it's had a lot of work since then.
Yeah,
But
6 years, man. You've been putting in the time and effort and stuff. So did you write when you were younger? Did you just boom, this just became your thing? Or
um, it,
was there kind of lead up to it where you're kind of always kind of thinking
yeah,
about these sort of things?
I always been creative. I always have kind of had a creative mind and an active imagination, but it wasn't. I really didn't get into writing until early in college. I was in a. It was a weird class. I was in a creative class, beginning intro to writing class, and it was just me and 16 Chinese exchange students in this one class. So I was the only English. I was only natively English, and the teacher just made me start liking writing and like taught just kind of teaching me some fundamentals and
Mhm,
kind of seeing that you could really build a whole story and narrative just from just from a few words, how kind of powerful they could be, and that was kind of her emphasis. So that really kind of got me thinking about writing in a different way, that it was
mhm.
kind of just a different medium I hadn't thought before. And so when it came time to have this story in my head, that's kind of what brought it to fruition. But before that, I hadn't really been super involved in writing, or I kind of like poetry a little bit, but this was definitely a different breed.
There you go. There you go. Now you've kind of weaved a few different pathways here. What is nuclear medicine? Is that where I didn't they used to do that in the
And
50s
the
with the
Yeah.
girls who would lick the paint before they wipe the
Oh,
watches? Is that nuclear
yes,
medicine?
the radium dials. The
Yeah.
radium, yes, no, um, a little bit different, same premise,
Mhm. Is that
nuclear.
Chernobyl sort of medicine or what's going
Uh,
on there?
no, yeah, basically straight from the reactor into your veins, and,
Yeah.
see
That's
you start
how I
glowing
grew
like,
that third arm.
yeah, Homer Simpson style. No, yeah, nuclear medicine is really, a kind of a niche field of the imaging department. So, you get MRI, you got CT.
Okay.
Nuclear medicine is a niche of that. Basically, how I would describe it is CT and MRI. You kind of look at body systems, the bones, the ligaments, the tendons, um, the structure of the body. Nuclear medicine kind of looks at the function.
Uh-huh.
So we use nuclear isotopes. That's where the nuclear comes from.
Oh, yeah.
That combine it with a pharmaceutical, and it goes to different body systems, and we can image it that way. So
Well,
the cameras pick up on the radiation, and we're able to kind of diagnose from there.
so it's kind of like when I go into, I always go in the hospitals. We used to have a courier company that would go to the hospitals to pick up samples and to take them to the labs. But we'd always see, the radiation. Hey, there's radiation in here. Radiation going on.
Yeah.
So it's stuff like that, right?
Yes, exactly. A lot of yeah, we ton of different tests, but probably our most popular would be in nuclear medicine would be like the PET scan for
Oh, yeah.
cancer. You know,
Okay.
so if anyone's had a PET scan, that's nuclear medicine. Um,
Oh, so
it's really interesting field. I loved it when I was in it. So
yeah. So you've done a few things. You started your own company. What made you decide to start your own business?
um, yeah, I think I got my first taste for running my own business when I was actually intern in nuclear medicine.
Hmm.
I was big into Bitcoin, still am, and that
Hmm.
is kind of a subspecialty now. But got really into Bitcoin. Started a Bitcoin ATM business with a partner out of my public housing. It was quite the time, but that really got me my first taste. It was like the kind of freedom and exercise that running your own business provides. You can really make it your own. Um, and I've always had a thing with sometimes authority figures or rules that don't make sense but we have to follow. I'm like, why are we doing this? But if you own your own business and the rule doesn't make sense, you're not following it because it doesn't make good
Yeah,
business
you
sense.
just change it. Yeah,
Yeah, you just
that's the
change
thing.
it. Yeah.
See,
Yeah,
you're
I'm
like
sure you
me.
you know you know yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah.
you're
I
a
can't.
guy that
I do
you
not
can't.
work well with others. Yeah, I have issues. So I started my first company. I was 18 and back and yeah, I can never work in a corporate environment. I think when I was younger, I did some stints in some corporate environments, helped finish off my CEO training, and yeah, I learned early on. I learned that you work at places and you're like, this is dumb. What we're doing is dumb. You guys are
Yeah.
doing dumb stuff. This doesn't. This is dumb. And,
Yeah.
and they'd be like, shut up. I remember my one company I worked for that was a car dealership. They go, yeah, well, the owner spent $2 million to build this company. So why don't you take your little idea there and go get $2 million and go do whatever the hell you want? And that probably was an important thing to say to me at the time because I was like, yeah, that's
Mm,
probably what I should do.
yeah. Okay, sure.
So
They probably thought they say that and you just fall in line like, yeah, okay, I guess,
so let's touch on what you do for clients, and I want to come back and tie this into the book. What do you
yeah.
do for your clients, and how does that work in the crypto thing and being an investment advisor and with
Yeah,
a specialty in digital currency?
yeah, it's almost ironic, right? Traditional investment advising, and then Bitcoin or digital currencies.
I would say
The
nuclear ironic. See
y-
nuclear iron radioactive. I don't know. That doesn't work.
you tried, you
This
tried.
is
That was
this is
close.
why you went to college for nuclear stuff, and I went to public school. Uh,
Hey, don't knock public school. I love public school.
It's kind of a joke we do around here. I don't know.
But yeah, no. Uh, so what I do for clients is, I'm a traditional investment advisor. So managing investments for people, but my specialty is in digital currencies or assets. So I kind of have a niche field of developing portfolios that have exposure to the digital currency space either indirectly or directly, and kind of trying to build a kind of high growth long term model
Hmm.
for clients based on their needs. And so I would say my practice niche is people have their 401k generally, and I do have some 401ks under me for their general retirement, but most people have their 401ks or their employee pension plans, but this is a kind of different subset of investing for that kind of little extra exposure. And I kind of came to this because I've always loved investing in finance. That was what I spent my time and hobbies on, and eventually, obviously, became my career. But I've taught about Bitcoin and cryptocurrency and investing. I've done classes and workshops on it, but and even I've even given people some, but it never seems to work out. The market's volatile. People get emotional. There's a lot of misinformation and scams, as has been recently.
FTX. Excuse me.
Yeah,
We'll get to that in
yeah,
a second.
yeah. This has been a interesting couple weeks, but bottom line is there's a lot. This space is tough, and it's just easier to be like, you know what, I want to get exposure. I think this is the future. I don't know what to trust, but here, let me talk to someone who's been in it for 7 years and lives it, and then I don't have to worry about it, right?
Yeah.
You're exposed to it, and I'm taking care of it, so you don't have to worry
Oh, and
about
that's
none of
why
it.
you want an advisor.
Yeah.
Any sort of investing is hard. I've done day trading at NASDAQ level 2 back in the day. I was day trading during the dot-com era. You pull in $50,000 in 20 minutes and then go lose it again in another 20 minutes. It
Casino
was
on steroids.
yeah, it was casino on steroids back then. If you played it right, you literally just anything that would launch. I think I made 50 grand off of Earthlink, But I was a pretty good player. I trained to be a stock market when I was in, I think 20, and I've been studying Wall Street for a long time, so I kind of knew the play. But it was a crazy business. I think the most I ever lost, and I never lost 50 grand in one deal, but I think 20 was the most I lost. But I think it was on something where I'd made 20 and lost it, so I kind of came out even. But I never took any brutal losses. And then I was smart enough to recognize what a recession was. I own a mortgage company, so I was smart enough to recognize what the Fed was doing in recessionary times. So when the dot-com boom went bust, I recognized the top of the market pulled out and watched everyone else hit the hell down. I just sat there with my cash going, yes, I got out of that thing. I
Yeah.
milked it and got out. But no, it's stressful.
Kind of that meme where he's sitting at the coffee table sipping his coffee and there's just fire around him, right?
Yeah, just fired. And you're like, this is fine.
This is fine.
Yeah, yeah. And I would call people up and I'd be like, "Are you still in the market?" And they're like, "Yeah, yeah. I'm just trying to write it down." They're trying to do what people were doing on crypto recently, where they're trying to, they bought at 60 at the top of the market, and they've been trying to buy the ride down, which is normally what you do with stocks that have value. But you hope that there's a buy down bounce, but by buying it down, whatever. That's a technical.
Yeah, dollar cost
So,
average down. Yeah,
but you need advisors, you need help, and you need guidance because it is an emotional thing. When you see your money or your investments or something going down, even just like if it's a tick for a day, like down 1 or 50.5, you're like, hey, where are we going? You never know if you're gonna curve up or down.
Yeah.
I come back from the stock market days where you didn't have the internet. You'd literally pay to have this paper magazine delivered to you with 5,000 charts in it. It was expensive as hell.
That's wild.
Yeah, and by the time you got them,
it was already outdated.
Yeah, it's like 2 or 3 days outdated, and you got different trend lines going. But that was crazy days. So, what? Let me ask you this because I want to pull back to the book a little bit. We're going to weave in and out. So, did any of this sort of experience that you've been going through, where you nuclear and then you went to finance, did any of this play into the book? Is any of the plot in the book, or did it contribute in the book in any way?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, the book takes place in the 90s, mid 90s. So unfortunately, before Bitcoin and crypto, so I can't do any self-insert there. But I would say that kind of my general creativity and the way I think about things in a manner does shine through in the book. But it is a very fictional, self-contained story. So I would say there's some elements of my medical background that I use, not nuclear medicine specifically, but just some medical or the way hospital or nursing home procedures go. But in generally, there's not too much crossover between the nuclear medicine, the finance, and the book.
There you go. There you go. So Uh, who are some of the characters in the book, and what are some of the plots? You can't give us too much, of course, with the
Yeah,
novel. But
yeah.
what are some of anything you tease out on the book that we can get to know about?
um, yeah, I would say, the general plot, the main character Nick. That's no spoiler or anything. His father was everything to him as a kid. His idol, looked up to him, wanted to be him, and his father was murdered in an apparent robbery. This left, obviously, him pretty traumatized, and it kind of carried into his future. And fast forward to present day, and it's basically, Nick's trying to figure out with his friend Chris, who's a police officer, uncover the murder to kind of put this all to rest, to kind of get some closure from the whole ordeal. And in the 90s was when DNA came out. So, now they have DNA technology that they can use to try to break open the case. But during that whole process of, trying to figure that mystery out, Nick's having a kind of a character journey through kind of rediscovering his family and improving his life and moving on from the past. And he has some demons. We'll just call them demons that come into play quite a
Ah.
bit during the story. So yeah, it's quite the character journey, and uh, definitely has some twists and turns during it.
What you could put in the book is somebody's going to invent this crypto thing, and everyone should buy it. Not gonna change anything.
A paradigm shift. Yeah, there's going to be
Yeah.
a paradigm shift in the money supply, the monetary policy.
Yeah. Foreshadowing, and then in the
Foreshadowing.
second book you can do Bitcoin or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there'll be a sequel. Yeah,
Sequel. You always got to plan these things out. You always got to plan the sequel, evidently. At least
yeah.
that's the way it works in movies and stuff. So this is pretty
I,
interesting. Was there some people that you had in mind? There's very few people that write with like some Hollywood actors in mind, like this person would play great in the thing. Sometimes they pick characters from their lives or relatives or something, or people they hate, they want to get back at. They make them the murder victim. Anybody you you
that's
choose?
a good question. Well, I don't want to say anything. I might not have. I might lose a couple friends.
Why did you
No,
kill me in your book?
yeah. Okay. I can't do spoilers, but there is someone in particular. They know who
Oh
if they're
boy.
watching. They know they were watching, and
Uh-oh.
then they read the book, and they're gonna be like, "You killed me."
You killed
And
me.
is there like some deep seated hatred? No,
What did
no.
I do to you?
Yeah.
Remember
um,
that time you
I've
gave me
only been nice.
books for Christmas? Those Black Friday books you got on sale?
Yeah.
You bought me 5 of that one guy, that new debut novelist. I'll never
uh,
forgive you. I'm just kidding.
yeah.
It's a good
Um,
callback, Joe.
yeah. There's no references to anyone in particular in my life. No characters
Okay.
based on anyone. It's a conglomeration of my imagination. Obviously, people influence it around me, but and as far as Hollywood actors, like I said, I kind of when I made the story, I pictured Edward Norton playing the main character.
Oh, really?
If that was, that was kind of the who I visioned playing the main character. So if that leaves
There
any
you go.
impression for your audience, but
There you go. I mean, he's a great actor.
yeah.
I think I saw his big debut. I mean, he'd been, I think, in a few films, but Primal Fear, I think it was called.
Mhm.
And I just about crap my pants at the ending of that movie. I've seen it about 3 or 4 times, and every time it just gives me the chills.
Yeah, he's good, and
Yeah.
I've liked everything that he's ever been in. So
Oh yeah, and then Fight Club. Oh my God, Fight Club. Oh, what a movie. Fight Club's one of my favorite top movies of all time, and just crazy. Um, just crazy the concept behind it and stuff. So nothing really tied into Bitcoin. Any nuclear stuff in the book? I guess
no,
since you're
no,
nuclear.
no nuclear, no Bitcoin. That's a big part of my life, but not in the book. Not in the book. Kept it all self-contained. So
So give us an overview of the book. What's happening in the book generally? Just kind of give us a kind of a 30,000 foot view.
generally, I would say, uh, you know, book, the underlying plot is finding his father, finding his father's murder. And he goes on a series of steps to find that with his best friend, who's a law enforcement officer.
Ah.
And the beginning of the book, I would say, has a lot more flashbacks and kind of a little bit of darker tone. A lot because the main character is living in the past, kind of held on to this grief and anger
Mm.
from his father being taken from him, and then he starts to move on. So middle to the towards the end of the book, um, he starts to move on from that. Reconnecting with family, kind of improving his life, viewing past events a little differently than maybe they would have happened, and there's adventures along the way. But and then at the end, I obviously you don't spoil the ending before the book, but
Yeah.
there a lot comes together, and I guess it was you know like the title of the book, "The Manifest Destiny."
Hmm.
So it's a play on the old was a historical term about how the U.S. colonists were gonna go from the East Coast to the West Coast. Nothing could stop them. It was our manifest
Ah.
destiny.
Ah.
So that's kind of a play on what the main characters experience.
Hmm. That was a question I had for you. Is why you picked that title and
Yes.
what sort of meaning it had.
Yeah.
Did
So
that did that have any
yeah.
personal resonance with you? That whole manifest destiny thing, or did it just
Um,
it with how you wrote the book? And
I think it just fit with how I wrote the book and how I wrote the character.
hmm
Um, the old historical term was the colonists couldn't get or weren't able to be held by the Mississippi River.
mm
Basically, there was the manifest destiny that we were going to go past the Mississippi River and it's going to
hmm
break open and go to the West Coast. Well, that's much the same with the main character as far as his grief and anger and holding on to the past. It can't be held back, and so that was the kind of play there. And it was just a little bit ironic because if anyone knows me, I have no harbor of this past or anger or angry person, grief, anything like that. So uh, I, it was at some points I really had to get in the character
Oh yeah.
just to write certain sections,
hmm
because generally that's an antithesis to kind of who I am. So there were points where I had to get a little in character, and maybe a little booze was inspired in that to
Oh,
really hone in on what this character was feeling. So
there you go.
it was a
Now,
fun it was a fun process.
would you call it a well, I mean, Hemingway used to, what was the old line from Hemingway? Write drunk and edit sober.
Yeah,
Uh
yeah,
I,
there was a lot of nights of that.
yeah, I've done that before. And it was interesting. One time we went to Hemingway's grave in Jackson Hole, and we went to visit his grave, and we pulled up, and someone had a shotgun shell sitting at the base of his grave. It was very macabre. We were like, "Wow, okay, we're not going up to his house now."
Yeah.
Um, yeah, that's like too weird. But so, would you build this as a suspense, as a thriller, as a
Yeah,
mystery?
yeah, under the broad sense of mystery thriller, but, psychological thriller, very character driven, um, suspense,
Mhm.
especially towards the end. Um, so yeah, that's kind of the uh, broad umbrella I put it on, for sure.
Any plot twists or M. Night Shyamalan stuff going on there?
Yeah, there's some plot twists, and you know what? There's a lot of layers to the story. So the kind of deeper you read on it, the more you're gonna understand uh, about the dynamics, and you might be able to predict some of the plot twists and figure out exactly kind of what the whole dynamic was that spurred this. So how deep it goes, because at the surface level, I think it's a great read. But the deeper you go, I think the more layers you get into it.
There you go. There you go. That's always good to have because people love novels, man. We have a lot of novelists on the show, and people love novelists. They love the whole aspect of adventure thrillers. People just love, they just love that stuff. It's something that people love and they eat it up. In fact, I wrote a business book, and I've seen all the novels that we have on the show. and they come back all the time. I think we had some novelists on about 4 or 5 times now for their books. They're really prolific. They write like every 4 months, and
I don't know. I don't know how. That's a skill that I.
oh yeah, I got people that come on the show. They got like 50, 60 books, and they've come back a bunch of times, and I'm just like 50 or 60 books. It took me 53 years to write my first one. It's probably gonna take the next one will be out in 106, I guess, is how it works for me.
Yeah, you'll be on your deathbed and publishing your last book, but
Oh yeah, totally. That'll be my last book that I'll publish, and it'll just be like, screw you people, I'm out.
yeah.
Elvis has left the building.
Mic
I
drop.
hated you all the whole time, or something. I don't know. It'll just be something aggressive, maybe.
Yeah, beacons of leadership, right?
Beacons of leadership.
Yeah,
It'll be my second book. Will be like, whatever. Just I'm out. I'm dead.
I'm
I'm dead.
Yeah,
I'm gone. I liked only half of you people.
yeah, and it's not the half you think.
Yeah, it's not the half you think. Yeah, I like that. That could
Um,
be like a title for a book, or I don't
Ooh,
know.
that sequel.
It's not the half you think. There you go. Yeah, you
Only like half of you. It's not the half you think. Yeah, that's pretty good. Trademark, copyright, trademark.
There you go. I mean, there's the byline for it, right? John, what happens when you find out that you're not in the half that someone likes or something? I don't know. Some sort of plot twist there.
Yeah, I did like your section in the book about, especially about the nine dots.
Oh yeah, isn't that a great thing?
I thought it resonated really well. Just I mean, being in the crypto and Bitcoin space originally, starting a business in there is like, there is no guidelines, and any box you try to fit it in, you're gonna have to go outside.
Yeah, it's there's so many social norms when you're born. You come in this world, and it does that. So I'm glad you like that part. I mean, you actually read the book. That's what's amazing. So many people buy it, and I'll be like, "You read that thing yet?" I'm like, "I'm getting to it." I'm the same way too. My friends will send me their books.
If you read every book that your friend or guest sends you, you might not be able to do anything.
Plus we do 2 shows a day, and I'm like, I can't read everything, but so let's go back to your business and what you do for advising and counseling and stuff. Do you want to talk anything about what you think about the FTX right now? For those of you who might be watching this 10 years from now, the FTX meltdown just happened, where like I guess $30 billion just went into poof land.
Yeah, just complete.
You want to comment on that at all, or to give some of your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. This is the probably the hardest, craziest couple of weeks I've ever had in this space, and that spans 6-7 years. So all the way back, people remember the last big boom and bust. Bitcoin went from 20,000 to 3,000. The whole world was falling apart. I think this last FTX thing was the biggest probably since Mt. Gox. Just all the way back in 2014.
I remember that
50% of the Bitcoin was hacked from Mt. Gox, and Bitcoin's price went from like 1,000 to like $100. Anyway, it's just you get so resilient in this industry because it's just crazy. But I would say the kind of breach of trust and the kind of setting back from the public narrative that this caused is massive. A lot of crypto platforms have failed this year, and some of them were just flat out frauds. And this is the biggest of all. But what made it so much worse is there weren't as many warning signs quite before. I mean, there's always warning signs, but they weren't as evident as some of the other platforms that went down, where it was like, you could check their balance sheets or their loan book, or there were leaks or their public persona. Like everything was kind of leading up to this. FTX, the kind of way it was ingrained in the regulatory space and with celebrities and endorsements, and also the huge capital that was behind it. People might not know, but there were huge venture capital firms from Silicon Valley invested.
Yeah,
in this company.
Valley was into it. Yeah,
A1Z, Sequoia Capital, pension funds.
Sequoia took a huge hit.
Crazy. And to see when this had collapsed, and to see that there was no board meetings, due diligence, and anything. Like, I mean, this is the political donations. Everything is just. I think the fallout from this will kind of scar the overall crypto industry for a long time. And it kind of serves as a separation between, I kind of like to think of separation between Bitcoin and the rest of the crypto industry. Um, you know, uh, there are Bitcoin as a technology and a medium of exchange and a monetary unit is different than, exchanges or the crypto industry at large that, in this case, perpetrated that fraud, FTX. But it is a crazy time, and it's tough to know who to trust and how to keep your assets safe when the platforms are just going down, and you're like, well, now I'm out of whatever I stored on there. It's rather crazy.
Yeah, I mean, and a lot of the fluff seems to be these tokens, where
Yes,
they were just
yeah,
making tokens, and then they would fluff them and play games internally with them to puff them up,
yeah. Keep a
and it's kind of like Enron, basically, or something, where they're puffing up shell companies.
and then cross collateralizing and taking
Yeah,
out loans against the value of those puffed
yeah,
up pieces. Yeah, that's something that's been happening in the crypto space for a long time with all crypto projects in general that are not
yeah,
Bitcoin. Is you keep a low float, so come out with a token with 5 billion tokens. You keep 4,500,000,000 locked up either from founders funds or VC firms, or keep it on exchanges but kind of don't let it be sold, and then you just leak out just a little bit. You get the hype train going. You get some influencers on YouTube to say, look at this next coin is gonna change how the power grid's distributed throughout the United States. And all of a sudden you got plebs with their retail money throwing $100 of this thing. It's going to go to 2 million, but that's just enough to get that token moved from 10%, 50%, 100%, and then the feedback loop starts kicking in. Whoever owns most of the tokens with the exchange or project starts to leak out just a little bit, not to mess up the price too much. And eventually, obviously, that equilibrium fails because there's nothing really behind the project, and push. And this has just kind of been an unfortunate factor of the space for ever since I've been a part of it. So it isn't new. It's always repackaged something differently. Um, this time, I think it was more the DeFi and the NFT train that
mhm,
drove it.
mhm.
Last time it was the ICO and initial coin offering. Not to say that the NFT space doesn't have a future. I think 99% of it is garbage or is going to go to zero. But I think there is something there with NFTs, and I do see some actual use cases for it
Yeah, eh,
now and down the road. So
yeah, and so I mean, Bitcoin has always seemed to be like the Cadillac of Rolls Royce of all the other stuff that's out there, and it seems to be the most. I don't know if most stable might be the right word lately, but it takes hits when it does. Everything else fails in the marketplace of crypto and NFT. But the one thing I learned a long time ago, and this is from being training to be a stockbroker, is you don't want to be buying when everyone's buying. You don't want to be selling when everyone's selling.
mm,
You actually want to buy when when there's opportunities in the market. And so whatever the news is of the day, Russia does this, or war, Fed interest rates, whatever the thing is, stocks go up and down, whether it's Bitcoin or stocks trading, and you're looking for opportunities. And you never want to buy high and sell low. You want to buy low and sell high.
uh, yeah,
So you're looking for opportunities. There's people that they made a lot of money when Black Friday happened with the crash of the stock market,
yeah,
and or was it Black Monday? Anyway,
Black
one of
Monday,
those,
I
yeah,
think.
Black Monday, and uh, and they basically waited for the bottom to hit, and they bought at the bottom and figured, hey, it's got to bounce, and it bounced. So, there's going to be a time where crypto is going to go back up again and people are going to have faith in it again. Might be a little bit of crypto winter, maybe. I don't know. Some people talk about that. What do you think about a crypto winter?
Yeah, I think it's been a crypto winter here for a bit. Yeah, yeah, you're exactly right. It's easy to say buy low, sell high, but yeah, during this time, a lot of people are definitely selling in
Hmm.
fear. Um, and it's interesting. I kind of say that people get greediest at the very top of the markets and the very
Hmm.
bottom of the markets. So the same
Oh,
people that were screaming at the top, um, you have to buy now because it's going to 200,000. You have to buy now. You have to buy now. You have to buy now. It doesn't say this is different than say it's Bitcoin's at 60,000 and you're like, I really do think Bitcoin's going to be something, continue to grow down the road. I have no exposure to Bitcoin at all. Maybe I should start getting some. That's fine. Get a little bit of exposure, just so you're, have some. But, at the bottom, it tends to be the opposite or the same as far as the greed. So it's like, I think Bitcoin's going to be something. I think it's going to stick around and be more valuable down the road. It has useful utility as a technology, but I think it's going to go to 12,000 or to, or something lower. And I think that's where people get greedy at the bottom. They're like, oh, it can just get a little lower. I can just get a little bit more. But if they kind of look at, well, what do you think about the long term? Well, is that 5%? Is that 10% going to make the difference? Or people, I've just seen it at the tops and bottoms. Back in 2017, 2018, Bitcoin was sitting about 4,000 for 6 months. A lot of people were saying, well, I'll wait till it goes to 2,000. Yeah, and it's like, well, what do you think Bitcoin could be in 5 years? Well, they're like 30,000, 20,000. It's like, well, what do you? So it's always the same. Now that's not to say. Now again, I kind of have to say this as a registered financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Anything. I am not your investment advisor. Now, if you would like that, you can contact me outside of this medium, and we can talk shop. But don't take anything that I say here and go trade off.
There you go. I was going to make that thing. How do people get in touch with you and talk to you about working with you?
Yeah, they can look me up. Digital Edge Wealth Management is my firm. You can look me up. Make sure I'm legit. You can go on the FINRA and SEC and look up that I am a registered investment advisor and I am compliant with all regulators. But reach out to me through the website, my phone number. You can probably Google Digital Edge Wealth Management, and we can go from there. So
there you go. So you're registered and you have oversight as opposed to FTX.
Yes, you're registered and have oversight, and I don't keep clients' funds. So I make sure that I custodian clients' funds with the most trustworthy of kind of fiduciaries, and not things that are just going to collapse or not.
And you're not
regulated.
hiding in the Bahamas either, so there.
No, I'm here. I'm here in Oregon. If you, that's true. I'm here in Oregon.
That would usually be my first tip off. What, you're operating out of the Bahamas? I think I see what's going on. I'm pretty familiar with what goes on and down there in those nether regions for the reason people hide their money down there. I mean, Putin hides his money down there. I mean, if you ever see we've had authors on who blew up in the Paradise. What was it called? The Paradise Papers. The whatchamacallit? Was it the Paradise Papers?
I think
those
so.
Those
or
papers,
the Panama
Papers. There it
Panama
is.
Papers.
Yeah, I can't get my references right on a Tuesday. What can I do? Anything more you want to touch on or tease out before we go?
No, I mean we covered a lot of ground here, and I appreciate your time. But definitely the book, passion, and it's something. But so book, cryptocurrency investing, and I want to make the caveat, obviously my specialty is in digital currencies, but I handle all investment types.
So like normal stock market stuff?
Yes. Normal stock market stuff, normal retirement stuff, Roth IRAs. It's not, you don't have to be exposed to Bitcoin or cryptocurrency in any necessarily portfolio. It's just that's a subspecialty that I offer that's different than probably, at least I've seen any advisor in any of the states I've operated in.
So you're an advisor who actually knows how to deal with crypto, because a lot of advisors like really old guys with pocket protectors.
Yeah,
and
they don't know the first thing, and
they're working Wall Street and they've got cocaine and Victoria's Secret models all day long.
Yeah, no, no, I've been on the ground floor with I've done mining and I've done everything. So
there you go.
At least I know what I'm talking about.
Well, Zachary, it's been wonderful having the show. Give us your .com so people can find you on the interwebs there.
I will. I appreciate you having me. It was awesome.
There you go. Throw me the .com if you would, please.
So www.digitaledgewealthmanagement, www.digitaledgewm.com, or if you want to look for the book, zachary-daniel.com.
There you go. There you go.
Otherwise, Google for either will work. So
Google for either. That'll work. You can always got to get the plugs in. Thank you very much, Zachary, for coming on the show. We really appreciate it, man.
Yeah, thanks. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you. And guys, check him out. Order up the book. It makes a fine gift for this holiday season. You always got to have those backup gifts. In fact, one thing I do is I always have like spare gifts like this where I buy them, and then that one person you forgot or somebody like that you normally don't give gifts to, like they show up and they give you a gift and you're like, oh crap, I got nothing. And they just gave me a gift. It's always good to have like a backup gift, and you wrap it and you're like, this is for any weird stuff that goes on. And then, somebody shows up and gives you a gift. And you're like, wow, I didn't know you like me. I've hated you for years. But then you can be like, hey, I've got this gift. I planned it and everything for you. And you can hand it to them. So
brilliant. That's brilliant.
See, I think this is you got to watch out.
That's the public school. That's the public school.
In my world, you think everyone hates you and you hate them. But then sometimes they show up and they go, hey, I like you. And you're like, really? Okay. And then they give you a gift and you feel like so stupid. I think people do that as a passive aggressive thing sometimes too. This is why you got to watch out for these people. I'm doing some counseling here. So, what they do is they're like, I bet he didn't get me a gift. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to be an asshole and I'm going to get him a gift and then make him look bad and give him extreme guilt. See how this goes over. But no, as long as you got a backup gift, they're ready to go. Yeah, you like 3 or 5 of them, depending upon how big your family is. So order up the book. Order up the book just to read the damn thing and enjoy it, people. But also buy like 5 copies so you can have that backup gift. Whatever we do for comedy on this show, Jesus Christ. Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. We certainly love my audience. We love you so much. Go to iTunes and leave some 5-star reviews. Make Chris cry. Maybe that'll become a segment on the show. Make Chris cry. That could be a segment at the beginning of the show. I don't know. That's kind of a dark way to start the show. I don't know if it'd be funny or not, but I don't know. People will be laughing at me crying. What kind of sick audience?
Yeah, what kind of sick audience?
What kind of sick fucking people are you? Well, you have listened to the show for 13 years. Hey, guys, thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate you. YouTube.com/Chris Voss. Goodreads.com/Chris Voss. And what else is there? There's a big LinkedIn group and all that stuff. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. And we'll see you guys next time.